hope you guys are doing good. Welcome to Founders Kahani. जैसा कि आप सब जानते हैं कि हम हमेशा अपने फाउंडर्स के लिए एक अमेजिंग सी कहानीज लेके आते हैं जिनसे वो कुछ लर्न कर सके और अपने एंटरप्रेन्योरियल जर्नी में हेल्पफुल कर सके। सो आज भी हमने एक बड़ी अमेजिंग कहानी को पाकिस्तान के बाहर से अपने इस पॉडकास्ट के ऊपर बुलाया है। सो प्लीज वेलकम मिस्टर विजय। ही इज द रीजनल मैनेजर ऑफ टेक्सटार्स रियाद। हाउ आर यू सर?
I'm fantastic, feeling great. Thank you for having me on the show, and I would love to share my kahani with you.
Yeah. So let's start with what's your kahani?
Well, I started my early journey as an entrepreneur, working in a family business, and then subsequently starting my own company. And long story short, over the last 30 years or so, I've been in 7 different industries, of which 4 are startups and 3 are scale-ups. And I've also been, in that period of time, working with entrepreneurs around the world, particularly with scale-ups in my journey with the Entrepreneurs Organization. And so I've had the privilege to serve as both as a leader of the Entrepreneurs Organization and working with entrepreneurs in different chapters around the world, including Pakistan, of course. And my journey has brought me one full circle, in the sense, having built businesses in the past, having served in different communities to help entrepreneurship to learn and grow as a mission. I've come back to a point where I'm now an investor, investing in early stage tech companies, at the same time helping the community to grow through access to the network, access to resources and capital to help them to succeed. So this is my mission now, and in a long story short, that's been my 30-year journey in being an entrepreneur to helping entrepreneurs, now investing in entrepreneurs.
Yeah, I think you have an amazing kahani. Yeah. So, you are Techstars, a part of Techstars Riyadh. Can you please tell me a little bit mission of Techstars and how it's contributing in the startup ecosystem of Middle East?
Certainly. So Techstars started with the mission of helping entrepreneurs to grow through investment in their company. And it's the combination of 3 things. 1 is capital, 2 is a program, which is called the Accelerator program, and 3 is access to a network. And that would mean access to mentors, corporates, investors. The importance here is that we believe founder is setting up. So the importance of investing in early stage companies is not just providing them capital, but rather to assist them in getting product market fit, go-to-market strategy, refining the business model to the extent that it becomes an investable company, and also give them the education needed to raise capital in the most efficient way. And then finally, to open up the network to allow them to access an amazing array of mentors that can help them deal with a lot of the challenges that typically startups go through. And I think the unique thing about the Techstars formula is that the programs are designed not to throw a lot of capital into the companies, but it's actually designed to give them a lot of resources that can actually shorten the journey to get to profitability, to get to a certain product market fit or full commercialization, by being very frugal, by using cost-efficient ways to raise capital, and to eliminate a lot of the mistakes that companies generally do in the early stage. A lot of these mistakes can be I guess, identified and troubleshoot if you were to surround yourself as a founder with really high quality mentors. And so when you think about a typical Techstars program, you might encounter between, let's say, 60 to 100 mentors from different walks of life, from different domain knowledge, expertise, industry backgrounds, from C-level CEOs, entrepreneurs, to perhaps a specialist in growth hacking, or someone who's really good in product engineering and innovation. So there's a whole, plethora of people that you could actually get access to help you in your weak areas as an early stage founder. So the beautiful thing about going through an Accelerator program is we help accelerate the growth and the learning of the founder, which, let's say, it might take 2 years, but within a short space of time, within 3 months at Techstars, you can actually achieve that. So we're very proud of this unique design that we have. And since we started back in 2007, we have seen over close to 4,000 companies graduated. We've done close to 300 programs or classes in about 50 cities around the world. And here in the Middle East, we are currently focused in Riyadh, running a program right now, where we attract companies from all over the region, including Pakistan, Turkey, Europe, and the wider region to participate in this program for the Riyadh Techstars Accelerator.
Okay, that's really nice. So can you please tell me how the Pakistani people can get into the Techstars and what's the process of that?
Yeah, I love to speak about that. So if you're a founder anywhere in the world, we've made it very easy for you to access the Techstars platform. You can just go onto the website, www.techstars.com, and we have a page on applications. So if you're looking to raise capital or to participate in the program, you just will make an application onto our website, on our portal, and immediately it will prompt you to think about which program might be best suited. Now, as I said, we might have at any given point in time 50 programs running in various cities around the world. And half of these programs, I would like to say, focus on specific verticals. Case in point, we have a mobility program, a fintech program, a program based on sustainability in various cities around the world. So if your company or your solution is addressing any of these verticals, we would encourage you to apply to those programs first and foremost. Secondly, we have programs which are sector agnostic, and they sit in certain geographies which has a meaningful ecosystem to support them. For example, Berlin, Boston, Los Angeles, to name a few. And so depending on the ecosystem that you think might be the most suited, we will definitely encourage you to participate in these programs. Now, specific to Riyadh, though, which is where I have a particular interest in, is if your company is looking to, break into the Saudi market or the broader MENA market, then we think the Riyadh program is the best suited. Why so? Because we have partners, for example, the Ministry of Communication and IT, Saudi National Bank, Riyadh Ventures. These are corporates that we've tied up with that can help these companies navigate go-to-market issues, as well as to understand the marketplace and to look for partners and to look for distribution channel partners. And this is the importance of each program that has those unique attributes. And so, coming back to your question about Pakistani founders, they really have a tremendous amount of opportunities to access our global network. The experience anywhere in any of these programs is on one hand very familiar. It is a Techstars experience, but on the other hand, it has its unique characteristics that supports the company that is applying. Sorry, Abu Bakr, I think you're muted. I can't hear a word that you're saying.
Okay. I was saying, are there any specific programs that you are planning for in Pakistan or especially the region in the South Asian region? How the South Asian regions can access to the Techstars? Because if you see, normally people even have a difficulty to go to the Middle East from the South Asian countries.
Yeah, that's a fair comment. We've noticed that there are some challenges, but I think I just want to remind ourselves that the Riyadh program is just one of many that we have around the world. But if specifically Riyadh is of interest to us, Pakistani founder, because they feel that their product or go-to-market strategy is where the KSA is of prime concern, then of course we will encourage you to come to the Riyadh program. Now, in addition to the accelerator programs, which are investment-backed programs, we also have other programs running in the region, which are called Founder Catalyst. The Founder Catalyst program is rather intriguing because it's a non-equity backed program, but it allows for companies that may not be investable at this stage, but to basically get some traction in terms of product development, get some traction in terms of getting some early adopters or customers. And then, having gone through the program, which they can again accelerate their progress, they potentially might be an investable company. At least it's a great entry point into an accelerator program. So think of the Founder Catalyst as pre-accelerator, a non-equity back, and then you have the accelerator program, which is equity back programs. So they, in a way, supports the ecosystem. And I think you know very well, Abu Bakr, about the startup weekend. That comes way upstream, which is, you've been very involved in that, the Techstars startup weekend. That comes at the ideation stage. When you have the first idea, do you want to launch a company? So that feeds up top of the funnel before Founder Catalyst. So you got startup weekends, Founder Catalyst, and then accelerator. They all work in tandem as sequentially the journey of an entrepreneur, and this is how we help them. So at the moment, we have Founder Catalyst programs in Abu Dhabi, which is running right now at Hub 71. We have a Founder Catalyst program happening in Jeddah. So we are looking to expand a number of programs in different cities in the region to help entrepreneurs ramp up their product and go-to-market strategy. In Pakistan, to be very direct, we have no intentions at the moment, but I'm making a visit this week here in Lahore and Karachi to talk to members of the ecosystem to basically gather information to discover, what would be the right fit. And if we think there is something that's feasible, we certainly would like to come back and explore launching one of these programs in the future.
Exactly. So, can you tell me a little bit about the Founders Catalyst program? If a startup from the South Asian country, Pakistan or India or Bangladesh, has applied to the Founder Catalyst program and he got selected for the Founder Catalyst program, and what will be like? It will be a fully funded program, or it will be a partially funded program, or you are just giving him the opportunity to be the part of Techstars, or the other expenses he has to bear it on.
Right. So the Founder Catalyst program is a 3 months long program, and there are some incentives by our local partners. So depending where the partners are, if it's Hub 71, you might get some credits to be able to spend for your cost of being in the program. on site in Abu Dhabi, for example. So it really varies depending on the program to program. There are some unique benefits that we when we tie up with some corporate partners that offer those benefits. But it is a non-investment program, so we don't invest in these companies until the end of the program, which could be qualified for future investments, and that's when we will invite them to participate in the accelerator programs. So it's possible that companies go through a founder catalyst program for 3 months, and then 6 months later they apply and go into an accelerator program. This is normal, and so we encourage that. So anyone from South Asia, again, can enter many of these programs anywhere in this world, and we've got a couple running right now in the Middle East, which we encourage them to participate. It's a great way to accelerate the product development, the go-to-market strategy in these early stages of those companies. So highly recommended for companies who are thinking about raising capital to go through these programs first and foremost.
So we were talking about the Catalyst program and about the Techstars benefits. You told me about the Techstars provide mentorship, network, and all the acceleration programs. Other than that, what Techstars provide to the startups? Do they provide the co-working spaces? Do they provide some sort of Google for Startups credit, or they provide something in-kind services?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, Abu Bakr. So I think the way to think about it is that our investment into these companies is in the form of intangibles or non-cash benefits in addition to the cash they invest. And the bulk of it is represented by perks and benefits. And these perks and benefits could be, they have close to about $3 million worth of perks and benefit they can actually choose from. Typically, companies would choose, $250,000 and thereabouts. They could be cloud computing services, for example, from AWS, to credits that we partner with a bunch of other software companies like HubSpot, Google for Startups, and LegalPad, to name a few. And there's also a lot of other softwares by our member portfolio companies who build great products, and they can get that at no cost. So the cumulative impact of these perks and benefits is pretty tremendous, because imagine the amount of savings you as a founder will have in not having to spend on these costs. So that's the perks and benefits side. The second thing is the access to the network. I think we underplay the importance of network. A lot of us, particularly starting a business, may come along with our career networks or perhaps our school, college networks. And there's so much your social capital can go at a certain point in terms of growing a company. But when you want to get access to individuals who are entrepreneurs who have built companies before, have raised capital before, or, for example, executives sitting in high positions in large corporates that are driving innovation, driving sales, driving product, they become very handy in terms of talking to you as a founder and helping you unpack a lot of the challenges. So given the fact that the key essence of the Techstars program is mentorship led, this is really what the biggest value is. And so the learning for the founders dramatically accelerates in a very short space of time, because you're meeting 100 mentors in a very short space of time that gives you that feedback. Also, when you're testing a new hypothesis, you need to get some validation early enough. What a better way to get that through experts who've been there, done that before, and they can actually help you, give you real feedback, what might not work. And so that's the biggest value that we can impact those companies aside from funding.
Yeah, exactly. So you're also a startup founder and you also part of a accelerator program. So what do you think? What's the most important thing that that startup has to show or startup has to do for the expansion or for the growth?
So if your question is about growth, I think often, this is a conversation could take a whole day, but I'll just summarize into two areas that I particularly have a interest in helping companies around. One is basically, I think a lot of founders may have a general idea how what they're solving in the marketplace, but often when you probe, they really don't have a lot of clarity or high resolution about how they're going to solve it. It's almost very ambiguous. And so when you drill down with a lot of thought-provoking questions, it actually raises more doubts about the potential success in the marketplace. And so we have a bunch of masterclasses, modules, or workshops, whatever you like to call it, that we put through our founders into the program. And in the process, they really are able to, unpack these difficult questions by getting much more higher resolution around solving the problem. So that's one area that I particularly enjoy working with founders, is getting clarity and focus on their go-to-market strategy, the product market fit. And that's often surprisingly is the biggest surprise for a lot of founders, that they didn't know that they had a lot of flaws uh, to begin with in the solutions. So this is something that I think will be a major impact we can make. The second, which I also have a lot of joy talking about, is about the metric that matters. How do you measure success? How do you measure growth that matters? So we have a whole design around a masterclass that talks about performance and metrics. And often we find that founders are carried away with vanity metrics or lagging indicators as opposed to leading indicators. And the science behind behavioral metrics that provides signals to companies uh, to basically double down the efforts on. And discovering that is not so easy. And so that's something else that I think I see can make a huge difference in the companies joining the program, because we have a whole design around how do you identify the key performing metrics to accelerate growth, and where do you discover those opportunities that support growth. Those will be the two areas that I think we can make a huge impact, and something personally I enjoy talking to companies with.
Okay, okay. I hope you explained it very well. But for me, if we see that what impact the startup growth is, it's the kahani. I believe startup should have a story to tell, and he should to if he really wants to expand.
I don't think I'm so sorry, Abu Bakr. You may have to repeat that question. I don't think I followed that question clearly.
Yeah, I was saying for me, for the startup growth, it's the kahani that matters because the startup founder should have connected to his startup with a story, with something that he feels. So that's why he can expand it very well.
Yes, I totally agree with you. I think each founder should have a very strong and compelling kahani to be able to have a connection with the problem that they're trying to solve. So often a problem is, for me, the starting point in why you want to get into entrepreneurship and why you are obsessed about solving that problem. If you can
Yeah.
demonstrate it through a beautiful kahani, which could mean that maybe you experience some pain points, or you lived through a problem, or you had a frustration with something, and because of that frustration or life experience, and you see that no one else is doing a better job in solving that, And if that's your motivation to go and start a company because you want to solve that pain point or problem in the market, then obviously that's a beautiful thing to do. So the storyline or the kahani that you reference to is really is adding color to the experience in basically creating all the emotions necessary to connect with the problem. The problem could be highly technical, but the story gives the color and the sweetness to the experience that one would have as a consumer, and therefore it makes it more I would like to say more genuine and more authentic if the founder has actually lived through it, because he can then say from experience, because I experienced this is the problem I had before, and here's how I'm going to solve it. It becomes more believable. And I think that it's really joyful to see and hear founders doing a pitch when this before they get to the problem or they're trying to solve, they talk about personal journey they've gone through. And so one story that comes to mind is a company that we recently invested in. It's called Secret Skin, and they talk about how do you provide ethical and chemical-free skincare to communities that are very diverse. But the story came not from basically offering something different from what's already there in the marketplace, which is arguably very crowded marketplace, but it's coming from someone as a founder who've gone through a medical condition, coping with cancer, and having been a survivor, is recognizing that what would be the right products that would be not harmful to me and my body. And so that became a compelling reason to investigate and solve that problem which exists in the marketplace. So for me, that's a good Kahani example as to what founders should look for in terms of coming from their own personal experience.
Yeah, exactly. So, if we talk about the startups, the one thing that makes startups successful in this era is the collaboration, partnerships, and the clients. Does Techstars help founders to find any good partnerships or find any good clients?
Yes. So I think, typically when you look into any of the programs anywhere in the world at Techstars, because we are affiliated with a number of corporate partners, generally speaking, we have the access to these people, which otherwise could be quite different. The second thing is that, as I said earlier, we have a vast variety of mentors that come from different backgrounds, from different industries. Generally, they have the passion to help founders succeed. And so when they are working with the companies, there is a natural cause and effect. They want to help the companies, and therefore they make introductions to their personal network, which is why mentor-led programs at Techstars is really powerful, because in addition to just giving an advice or giving feedback on the problem set, they actually are very willing to support the founders by making connections to their own personal network. So this is the fantastic experience that we typically see at Techstars.
Yeah, I think that's really nice. By the way, can you share any good stories from the Techstars alumni? Because Techstars network is huge and Techstars has very amazing and very huge number of alumni.
We had I mean, that's a difficult one to answer because we have just thousands of them. But if you think about, say, one phenomenal success is a company called SendGrid, which many of you might know, which provides email solutions to a lot of the corporates. They are actually the world's largest secured email provider to companies like Amazon, to Meta, and several other tech companies. It all started with Isaac Saldana, who is the CEO founder being an engineer at Yahoo back in the first decade of 2000s, and then realized that a lot of the emails not being delivered eloquently to the recipients, a lot of it being stuck at spam. And he felt frustrated that this is not being addressed. So he decided one fine day to write a set of codes to develop a software that can address the delivery of emails using servers. And long story short, he joined a Techstars program. The ideation evolved into a great product, and then from the product, it launched a good company. And that's where we see a company that had gone through our program at the very inception of the idea to IPO in 7 years, when it was listed in 2017 at a valuation of 1.3 billion. Long story short, what we can take away from this experience is when a founder is single-minded focused on solving the problem, just like in this case, solving email delivery for accuracy to the right people without having to go to spams and bounce back and what have you. You can build $1 billion enterprise by just being good at it. So anyone who can think deep enough and be very focused on solving one problem can create tremendous value in growing a company. And that's what we in business to do is really we serve that mission to help entrepreneurs grow and scale rapidly, help them focus on being focused on that problem set with clarity and focus, so that they can see growth and creation of value over a period of time. So that's one good example. I have to say there's maybe hundreds of examples like this around the world, but that's something I like to share with you.
Oh, nice, nice. So you're also living in a city which has a very evolving and very good startup ecosystem. In terms like Saudi Arabia is doing really great in terms of entrepreneurship, in terms of technology. So what steps do you think Pakistan should take as a country or as a nation to promote startup ecosystem or to promote the tech industry in a specific country?
Oh, I think it's the makeup of, say, when you compare Pakistan and Saudi Arabia is so vastly different in terms of the ecosystem. I think if you just look at Pakistan in itself, it's got a significant size population, in excess of 100 million people, young, educated, and are very hungry to basically jump onto the technology revolution. Pakistan is already serving the world in so many ways through, high quality talents, outsourcing for IT solutions, consulting, and it continues to grow. And so Pakistan has a very natural advantage with many countries around the world because of its sizable population and the education and I would say the fire in the belly to build something great. The ecosystem, from what I've seen and having not spent a lot of time in Pakistan, is very active. I do get a lot of engagement between the various cities in Pakistan, for example, Lahore and Karachi. We have a lot of investors flying back and forth between the MENA region and Pakistan. I have founders in my portfolio who are of Pakistan origin that are working and expanding their businesses in the Middle East. So we see a lot of cross-border collaboration taking place. I think you know that one of the unicorns of this region in the Middle East is Careem, which have a significant back office and talent pool in Pakistan, supporting Careem across the region. And we have many examples like this that's taking place. So Pakistan is very much an integral part of the Middle East and North Africa ecosystem, and continues to do so. We see a lot of Pakistan entrepreneurs headquartered themselves in Dubai, and increasingly spraying the wings into KSA to take advantage of the opening up and liberalization of the economy. And so for those reasons, I can only think that the ties are going to get even stronger with the flow of talent moving back and forth the various countries and economies as I just mentioned.
Yeah, I think you answered it very well because we have really great resources. If we talk about natural, we have good weather, we have good fertile land. So we should do something innovative to do something better. So how do you see the future of Techstars Riyadh and Techstar and the startup ecosystem of Saudi Arabia, especially Riyadh?
So we think that the broader region of Middle East, North Africa, um, the Indian subcon, South Asia, are getting increasingly more aligned. It's one of the fastest growing economies in the world. And so we're trying to expand our footprint in offering multiple programs across the region, whether startup weekends, founder catalyst, or the Techstars Accelerator program. Riyadh continues to, in recent times, to attract a lot more activity in terms of programs and also for fundraising perspective. We see the very vibrant angel investor community. We see a very vibrant VC community, thanks to a lot of state-funded funds that's flowing into these VCs. And so because of that, it is a magnet to pull startups from different parts of the world to come there to take advantage of that funding opportunity, but also because it's evolving as an economy from the diversification away from hydrocarbons to a much more diversified economy in tourism, infrastructure, construction, digital and media, and so on and so forth. It opens up more opportunities for entrepreneurs to take advantage of. And for those reasons, we see this flurry of activities taking place. So we at Techstars are very aware of this, and we will continue to expand programs across the region. But we then tend to see also that there seems to be some gravity of attention taking place in Riyadh, hence why I spend a lot of time myself personally to support the Techstars in that part of the world.
Yeah, I think that's a very good plan. Now, I'm also a part of Gen Z. So Gen Z always finds something cool in everything serious. So I have a very cool question for you. If you got a chance to invite three people on your dinner table, dead or alive, who that will be?
That's a fun one to ask. I think oh wow, just three people on the table, right? So it can't be 10, right?
Yeah, dead or alive. It could be anyone.
Yeah, I think there's certainly it'd be a controversial thing to do, but I think I would very much like to have Elon Musk on the table for obvious reasons, because I think he's just an incredible entrepreneur. What he's able to accomplish, just to tap into his mindset. The other person, of course, Jeff Bezos, which may not be a more compatible conversation, but I think he's also built an incredible company. And of course, third would be Mark Zuckerberg. So having those three tech giants on a dinner table at one seating, I'm sure they may not get along, but just for me to have fun with them and ask them, what's the future of tech? What's the future of artificial intelligence, or how that's impacting our not just businesses, but humanity on so many different levels, will be a fascinating conversation that I would like to have with those three individuals, just to have a peek into the future. So those would be my top three. So I think that for every industrial or technology revolution over the last 250 years, we can imagine whether it's all this what we call over the centuries will naturally, on one side, this opens up new careers and new jobs to take advantage of. So it's always a double-sided or maybe double-edged sword in some cases, but definitely much in favor of new possibilities and opportunities. I think every technology brings about abundance of new things that we can never imagine that could have happened without that. So I think it's natural for humankind to be a bit more, suspicious of focusing on autonomous driving as an example, but it's actually opens up, a much more efficient economy. There's from a safety point of view, from delivery of goods and services, far more efficient, but allow people to then explore their creative minds for other use. So I think a lot of it is still in its very formative stage for us to really comprehend the full impact of AI. It is going to be one of the most profound and prolific applications and implications that will impact mankind across the world in so many dimensions. So for me, it's thrilling to have the front row seat to be working with entrepreneurs who are working with AI and using them to enhance education, medicine, and just e-commerce for the benefit of society. But it's at the same time also nerve-wracking to see how fast this technology is evolving, and many of us are not just prepared.
Point. I think you raised a very valid point that technology, all the innovations never change, take the opportunity. Instead, it creates more opportunity.
Yeah, I like to believe so.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us today, Vijay. We had an amazing fireside chat with you, and we got really valid points about the Techstars and about the startup ecosystem and how we can take part as a Pakistani startup into the Techstars and how I can take benefits from these opportunities. On the last, want to say anything to our audience, please?
Thank you very much for hosting the show.